So it's right there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So we're starting the Larkspur Heritage Preservation Board meeting for this Thursday, April 24th, 2025. Change that. We'll start by taking roll. Okay, I'll just go through every name. Sonia Gallant, not here. Lily Olento, here. Hillary Culhane, present. Rich Storick, not here. Carol Goldberg, present. Great, we have a quorum. Okay, now, do we have any public comment on matters not on this agenda?
If you're on Zoom and you want to give a public comment, please raise your hand. It seems like everybody wants to comment right now.
Okay. And then we have the planning staff's oral report.
Oh, not really much new to report to you right now, actually. The plaque check has finally been cut as of last week. There was a bit of a process renewal. So it's been sent to KVO, so those should be to us. I'm not exactly sure what their timeline is to get them shipped out, but it'll all start happening now. And that's all I have for you.
I don't know if you're aware that the check had some problems getting to its proper address. For the historic plaques. But they somehow straightened it out.
Good,
Yes.
good. I'll be so excited to see those. It's been a long time.
Well, Marilyn River, just a little aside, is working on the next 5. And she's the one that wrote them and put them together.
Yeah.
And with the help from different people, but they'll get the first 5 in and then do 5 more.
Yeah, this is exciting. Okay, so now we're gonna get to the meat of the matter tonight, the public hearing for 455 Magnolia Avenue.
Just a second here. Okay, so yes, good evening, members of the Heritage Preservation Board. The item before you is the historic review portion of ELN 2510 for 455 Magnolia Avenue. I'm sure we're aware, but it's the Don Antonio's restaurant just across Magnolia here. And there's a street view of it. And on the left is as it stands today, and the right is a rendering that is provided. Design. I'm just going to keep it really brief here for you. The project is seeking to remodel the exterior of the existing restaurant and add 263 square feet to the rear of the structure. The property itself is not historic, it's not on the inventory, but it is within the downtown H district, so that does require review and approval for our recommendation from your board. And I've got the floor plans here for you. It's a pretty extensive remodel of the interior and a reworking of this kind of enclosed outdoor seating space.
So is the first floor all restaurant related?
Yes.
And then the upstairs is residential?
No, the upstairs is still related to the restaurant. The architect and the owner can probably correct me, but my understanding is that's like a private party area of the restaurant.
Oh, okay.
And then we've got the elevations here for you. The proposed is this lower set of drawings, the existing is the upper set here. You can see the proposed changes to the front facade with the new arched windows. This is the west elevation, which you would see traveling down Magnolia coming from Cordillera. The east, which is largely obscured by the thrift shop that is directly adjacent building. And so this project was reviewed by a historic consultant who found the project would have no negative impact on the downtown district. And that the only remaining character defining feature is that second story residence that was at one point long ago lifted up while the first story was constructed. But there's no proposal for removing historic materials or altering any of those features. You've received 3 public comments that are all in support of the project. And in conclusion, staff recommends that you hold a public hearing, take public comment, discuss, and approve the project subject to findings and conditions of approval. That concludes my report. I'm happy to answer any questions, and then we've got the project architect and owner here as well. Thank you.
Maybe should we start with the the owner and architect, and then we could have public comment afterward. Alex, is that other mic on?
You'll have to flip the switch on the top of there, and it takes a second for it to turn on. So thanks for having us.
I'm not sure it's on.
Oh, it might just be a little far away.
Boran, do you want to speak a little about like the restaurant? Just in terms of.
Hello.
You probably just need to take it off the stand and just hold it. That's easy.
We can talk about the building. So to start, good evening. Thank you all for being here. We are trying to bring a new flavor to the neighborhood. We live here actually 5 minutes away. I'm in a restaurant tour, been in a restaurant for 27 years. Been doing this from love. Born and raised in Tunisia, so Mediterranean is my home. And I'm trying to bring some good Mediterranean food with good ambiance and good service. That Marine, I think, deserves something very well made, from food to service, like I said, ambiance, and, transport you to the Mediterranean, really. That's pretty much what I have for now. Thank you.
I'm Adam Frank, I'm the architect. So probably the biggest goal that we've done with the elevation is we've tried to keep the neighborhood context and relative to our design. So we've incorporated a lot of arches on the ground floor to kind of incorporate the similar architectural features that are around the neighborhood. Not really changing a whole lot, but the envelope is generally the same size. And we have stucco on the exterior, steel framed windows, and an open air outdoor dining area, which is kind of similar to the existing dining area. It's got louvered roof panels that are open to the sky, so it's going to feel very much like outdoor dining. And that's basically it. There's not a whole lot to the exterior elevations except for those modifications. So thank you.
So, the building it looked like it had the most recent remodel was in 1975, or in terms of major remodel. And it's hard to tell. The second story in the back, that's the last remaining feature from the 1908 original structure.
Right.
So do we know, it looks like it's just some sort of funky shingle, or what kind of siding is on that second story currently?
I think it's probably some sort of composite siding it's been applied since in the 70s, maybe afterward. It's not necessarily historic. We do wood siding.
Yeah, from that era, you'd have yeah. But the whole thing is going to be stucco.
Stucco on the lower level, and then we'll keep siding on the upper level. So it matches the historic nature of the existing.
So you'll go back pre-1975.
Yeah, so I don't know if you have the elevation, you could pull it up.
Let's see.
We're keeping the siding on the upper level.
The current siding.
Yeah. So that's called out as wood siding. It needs some repair. So if we do anything, it'll match kind of the historic nature of the original siding.
This is existing.
And then you can see there's the new cornice we're putting on the lower level is going to be stucco from that point down.
Okay.
Right. So we kind of kept if you could scroll down to the original, you can see they kind of have a hodgepodge addition that they did over time. So the front elevation is stepped in a lot of ways, and it's not very consistent. So currently there's a large air HVAC unit on the front roof that you can see. So we're trying to make that a little bit more user-friendly and put a deck there. And then lower that parapet, so it's in line with kind of the original second story window line. So you can see on the proposed, we're keeping a little bit more clean line across the bottom of the historic windows that kind of differentiate the new and the old. So we're kind of respecting the existing building and updating the lower part that's been modified several times over the years.
So the upstairs deck area won't be for dining.
So that's gonna be for private parties or lounge.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so we were proposing to put some maybe like outdoor furniture or some kind of cocktail type
Nice.
seating.
And the stairs in the back?
That was primarily just an exit stair.
Oh, just. an
So
exit
it's,
stair.
we really need to have that for two means of egress, and so there's gonna be more people upstairs.
Okay,
And we have an ADA lift that we're installing, so that's
Wow.
right where the mouse is right now, and then that back stair is really just to provide a second means of egress.
I
So
see,
it'd probably be a wood frame stair,
in the back.
and there's currently a wood frame stair where the elevator is located, so it's providing the same access. And then we have an internal stair, which is gonna be more of an architectural feature that provides access from the restaurant up to the dining, and we have two bathrooms and a little office and some storage. And then on the back as well, we're proposing to have some seating, so there's overflow.
So there's no living space
No
in
living
this
space.
building, okay. And also I noticed that on the second story, you're changing where the roof line comes down, you're adding, is it a wainscoting here along the edge of
It's
the,
a new cornice, and we intentionally selected it to match the kind of historic cornice that's on the upper level, so it's a little bit cleaner, more contemporary design element to distinguish the new and the old. But it's also, the intent is to match that upper, they have kind of like a dental detail where it's a more historic cornice, and so the lower one's in some ways matching it, but just a little bit more contemporary.
okay. Yeah, because it says addition of a wood cornice wrapping around the front parapet and along the second floor line at the south side of the building, which would be the parking lot side of the building.
Right. And that's that, on the side elevation, you can see it's that horizontal line. Right there.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
And where will the real entrance be? Off of the parking lot side? I wasn't,
Can you say that?
the real entrance to.
Oh, the real entrance, it's in the same place as it currently is, it's
Oh, okay.
on below the sign here, on the
Okay.
elevation.
So the
We're proposing to add two more openings on the same facade, on the south facade, so that we could provide a little bit more access from the indoor and outdoor. It's, I don't know if you're familiar, but it's kind of dark in that seating area currently, so we're just trying to open it up, make it a little bit more like inviting. And the trellis, I think it's important to note, it's a kind of a prefabricated trellis system, and they have operable louvers, so most of the time it'll be open air. And then if there's ever a rainstorm, they could close the louvers.
Is there heating in that?
That would be electric induction or gas heaters, outdoor heaters, if there's an outdoor space.
Anyone else have any questions before I open it up to public comment?
I don't have a lot of questions about it, but do you still have the parking then?
We have all the same parking. I think one of our challenges is we have to update it to the current code, so we're working to get an accessible space. I don't think there's currently an accessible space there, so we're working with the layout as best we can, so. But
Yeah, you'd have to have some kind of a ramp. Is that what this is here on the main entrance?
Yeah, we're gonna have a ramp at the main entrance and then directly across is the accessible space,
Oh, perfect.
so.
Okay. Well, I see there's someone in the audience that might also want to comment. Would anyone else like to address the board at this time about this project?
James Holmes Larkspur. I remember when that front part was the Rose Bowl Chateau. I don't know if anybody else can remember that, but it was I mean, it was square. I don't believe you had a picture in your packet. Maybe you
So
did.
the pre-1975.
Yes, it was, it dated back to the 40s. And it was the diviest bar in town. It was even worse than the one across the street, except that it was much more passive. And what I remember is when I was a little boy and I was going to school and going in front of it, the door was open. It would open up very early in the morning, and I saw what appeared to be, at least to a little boy going by, old ladies in bathrobes with coats over their bathrobes, bending their elbows, standing at the bar, at 8:30 or so. Anyway, I also remember the Costa cottages behind, and my mother, because there were so many people who seemed to be there all the time, my mother said that the difference between the Rose Bowl Chateau and the one across the street is the one across the street, the people were transient, they came and went, but the patrons of the Rose Bowl Chateau were resident. They never seemed to leave. But anyway, I also remember very well the Costa cottages. There were 4 of them originally. The front one was jacked up, and then there were, the reason why it's flat on the back is because there were 3 other cottages in the back. They were exactly the same. They had they had 4 rooms and a porch and then a bathroom, because I think they were built before there were bathrooms. There was a bathroom that occupied each one of the 4 porches. And at least at the time that I remember them, they had become what we called Larkspur's slum. There were laundry out in front and kids and so on. But they were one of the maybe 3 or 4 sets of 3, well, in this case 4 identical homes. There was, of course, the Costello ones, the most well-known. Then there are 3 up the canyon, and then there were the 4 Costa cottages. So anyway, this is the one that's left, the Costa cottage. And the interesting thing is that that very, very nice cornice that with little detailing. I think it's called dental work, though the architecture tell me. Am I correct? Dental work. So that's being preserved, and I'm very grateful to see that. That is also, I am absolutely certain, the original woodwork with the original siding. I'm absolutely certain. I remember the Costa cottages because before they tore them down, I went in and walked all around and looked at them. And the cornice is very, very nice. It echoes the existing one without actually replicating it. The question in my mind, I guess, is whether those great big windows complement the district or compete with it. And I know that one of the considerations of yours, in addition, I used to sit on this board for a while, in addition to looking actually at the structure, is looking at how it relates to the neighborhood. Those great big windows, they're nice in some respects. Ideally, I think square would be better because the upper ones are square and most of the ones and elsewhere in the neighborhood are square. But they arch. It occurs to me that there are 2 things that could be done with those windows just to make them a little bit more consistent with the area. And that is, number 1, framing around the window. It doesn't have to be really thick framing, but some sort of framing. Now, maybe there is framing around it, and I didn't see it on the rendering. But I think a little frame. I know the strictly modern look is no framing, but I think framing would help it. The other thing that it looked to me like those windows were almost floor length. floor to ceiling. And the pattern is, elsewhere in the neighborhood is to have some sort of wall below it, which is a little bit higher than floor to ceiling. And I think if you did that here, you would have, first of all, I think it'd be a little bit safer. But I think secondly, it would be more consistent with what I would say is the pattern of the community. Just in respect to the idea of the framing, now there's something called the downtown specific plan storefront area, which this is in. And as ill luck would have it, I didn't have the specs for the storefront. I have for the garden downtown, but I suspect it's similar. It says facade should include three-dimensional detailing such as cornices, window moldings, and reveals to cast shadows and create visual interest on the facade. So this has the cornice, so I think a little bit of framing would carry through with that. The final point I would make is that, as I say, I recall that there are design review guidelines for the storefront downtown, and that one of the things that I think they said is that the facade should replicate the rhythm of the downtown. And it seems to me that, you know, having two great big windows doesn't exactly do that, and ideally there would be a door in front. Perhaps the Heritage Board doesn't go thoroughly into that aspect of it, and I know the Planning Commission will presumably apply those standards. But I do think that the two modifications that I suggested to the windows would help make it more consistent with the downtown area while still allowing for architectural expression and light. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes. Is there anyone else that would like to address those comments?
Just to respond, one of the things that we were looking at when we designed the elevation was actually this town hall, which is there's image behind you on the wall with arched openings and square windows above. So we were kind of taking that neighborhood context into consideration when we laid out the windows. And then also the storefront across the street has pretty large steel framed windows as well. So that's where we referenced that component as well.
The storefront being the dental office?
I think it's
Hair salon.
Hair
Oh,
salon.
hair salon.
Right, they have white windows, but we were kind of matching the same large format windows.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Well, I presume that, oh, sorry.
Oh, no,
Go ahead, I'm
just
sorry.
one comment. I just want to thank Mr. Holmes for his interventions. They're always so interesting. But I never heard about these women in the bathrobes inside that building beforehand. I'll have to do a little research on that, but I can assure you that there'll be no women in bathrobes. But I do think it's a wonderful opportunity for downtown to really have something new and exciting and different. You know, it's a lovely town, and you know, I've been a part of this town for years now, and I've always enjoyed the charm and just the uniqueness of it. And I think this just adds to that. It brings a different flavor, unintended, you know, to the community as well, you know, with the cuisine. So I think it's a great addition to the to our downtown area. Thank you.
And if just before you leave, if I could have you state your name for the record.
Monsignor Michael Patasinski.
Is that it? Yep.
Thank you.
Getting back to what James was saying about
If I would suggest collecting all the public comment before we discuss it.
do we have more public comment?
Is there anybody else in the audience who'd like to?
I don't live in this town. Can I talk?
Sure.
Hi, my name's Yanni Bornis, and I live down the street on Port Madera Avenue in Port Madera. I think this is a really beautiful building. I've seen renderings of it, and I think it really does kind of fit into this area. And as a first-generation Greek American, I'm dying for some good Mediterranean food. So I hope you know, do your due diligence, but I hope you guys dig this place and, you know, and make it move on quickly.
Thank you. Did you want to?
Yes, since everyone had it, but can I say also something?
Sure, of course.
Because I would love to take advantage of this moment Because, thank you so much, by the way, because I would love to say like really, because right now I have the microphone, I have this chance to, show my gratitude. I'm also from Azerbaijan, immigrant. I would say I'm not immigrant, female immigrant. So, and I came here 13 years ago. I would love to say that this country helped me literally, America helped me to rebuild myself again as a female. I gained like such an amazing strength. I kind of, discover my own true self in this country and help. And one of the biggest thing I think I gained living 13 years in this country, how to collaborate with community and how to work for community and how live together with community. And I think through this project also, it kind of gives me and my husband such a great opportunity to kind of pour back whatever I have gained in this country as it doing something good for community, share with community, while we're going through something or celebrating something. And we are living here almost last 2 years, and I love this community. And I think one of the biggest, honestly, my excitement to build our dream together here is just work, celebrate, live through everything with this community. And that's why I want to be great. I just want to tell my gratitude to you and to this beautiful country. Thank you so much.
If I could also have you state your name for the record,
Okay.
please.
So my name is Alpa Shukurova. So I'm we're wife and husband. So this is our kind of dream project. We want to do it, and it's in a beautiful city. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
And if you're on Zoom and you'd like to give a public comment, you can raise your hand. No hands are raised.
Okay. Any thoughts? Please.
Well, I'm always a little conflicted when anything changes in the downtown. But I do think it's a very nice project. And I can see how it blends in. It'll be acceptable.
Yeah.
I had similar concerns about the windows initially. Because it looks a little more contemporary than really much of downtown. But I think it's a very beautifully designed building. And I appreciated your view on the elements that you incorporated, looking at City Hall and across the street. And I can see where they would congeal just fine.
I'm presuming that when Garavalia prepared this report, they would have taken into consideration the storefront requirements for the historic district.
They're gonna look more so at, compatibility within the district on a, historic integrity basis rather than what the city's, design guidelines say. I will just say that they are guidelines, they're not hard and fast rules. But that's not necessarily something that they would be, a document that they would be reviewing in their scope of work.
Okay. Well, it's always interesting when, most of the time we're looking at specific buildings and the specific features of that building and how it relates to its original construction. And obviously this building has been changed so much, in the last 117 years that you can't really say it has to be the 1908. But I think enough of those features are preserved with the siding, as you mentioned, and the cornice and keeping the hip roof. So it seems to me the question that's been brought up is the appearance of this sort of front street area facing right onto the sidewalk in Magnolia and the parking lot, of course. But when you look at how this building has really changed, this personally, I think we're always trying to balance preservation with moving forward and the utility of a building. And I think that this design does both. To me, it keeps the original sort of structure sort of in the back, just right there, it's present, you can see it. But it also kind of brings the building into a more accessible and lively part of the street. So in my opinion, I think this project, I don't know how feasible it would be to change the curve on these windows, or even if you'd need to do that, because as you mentioned, you know, you're echoing the porch sort of arches here in this building. And there is a bit of a hodgepodge of buildings in the historic district anyway. You know, there's the dentist office, that sort of cinder block building. And, you know, I don't wanna, I don't know if I wanna stand in the way of something that I think, to my mind, is a really lovely building. So,
Yeah, I think I have that same feeling that I like the design of the building and it's gonna look very nice downtown.
Yeah.
And to alter it, to make it look old like it used to be, doesn't seem
right,
feasible.
right. And it's not like it's in a row of other, I mean, the Costa cottages are long gone, sadly. But it's not like it's a bit of a standalone building. It's got a parking lot next to it on one side. And downtown is kind of a mix of interesting buildings and eras anyway. And maybe it would be a nice project to kind of show how we can incorporate something that is Victorian, historic, and it's forward-looking and really accessible to Larkspur and Corte Madera, and just the public. So in my opinion, I like this project, and there's no more comment. We could put it to a vote.
We'll need somebody to make a motion to recommend approval.
I'll make a motion to recommend approval.
And a second.
I second it.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you.
Good, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming here. I always
Thank
love
you.
hearing the history. And maybe we should start a club and get our bathrobes on.
Just for actually one more comment. Actually, those windows used to be arched before too. I don't know if you've seen it before back.
Yeah, the arch was a little different.
Yeah, a little.
Yeah, a little different, but it was
Yeah.
arched, you know, that's why.
I think it's gonna make for an exciting streetscape in the
Yeah,
city.
exactly.
I think would be very lively for it.
Thank
Yes, I do.
Yeah, and the stucco will echo this building too. I don't, I'm presuming it's going to be beige, the stucco?
Yeah, I mean, well, probably more like a plaster finish stucco, smoother. Yeah.
Traffic.
I can't wait to see it.
Me
Thank
too.
you,
Great,
thank
thank
you.
you.
We're
So we have
excited.
so many good fun plans, like, as a community to celebrate there and have a good time.
Yeah.
Great.
Looking forward.
What's the name of the restaurant going to be, or have you decided?
Yes, it's called Firma, Feerma. Firma means a farm, and in the Mediterranean. So we lived in the Mediterranean, and we
Yeah.
always, you know, growing up, we go to our grandparents' farm, we say, let's go to Firma.
Firma.
Yeah,
Oh.
so it's a good place for us together with the family to eat good food, celebrate and connect with, you know, nature obviously and with people as well.
Wow, okay. What part of Tunisia are you from? I'm just curious.
Tunis from the
Tunis?
capital, yeah.
Ah, okay. I spent a summer in Tunisia,
Wow.
in Carthage.
Yeah,
Ah.
I'm very close to Carthage. It was like
Yeah. Oh, that's
15 minutes.
cool.
Yes.
I can't wait.
Right
All
on.
right, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
ladies. Thank you so much. Alex, thank you. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Yeah, to college.
Oh, yeah.
It was archaeological.
Have a good evening.
Unit, it was actually circus, Roman circus.
Oh.
Thank you.
Yeah. It was college. So that was.
Yeah, you really want some standing ovation.
Oh, talk about your conservation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I hope you-
Yeah, we just got them this afternoon, so I
did two of them where I just didn't.
we got one. Who did you hear
Same
from?
concern when I initially looked at it. The windows were so contemporary. It was
Yeah.
so contemporary, but
Uh,
it was very attractive. And I really loved how he located it.
Gabriel Guessler.
Yeah, that was really
Yeah,
cool.
and to the building kind of looked like kitty corner.
Yes,
Some of the other
Exactly,
Yes.
that really
other
helped.
ones.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Salon.
yeah.
That's of course, the old Rose Lane.
Yeah. it's the
Yeah,
historic
yeah,
part.
okay, thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I agree.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right.
Nice to see you.
Good to see you. Take good care. See you soon.
Bye-bye.
All right. All right, so moving on. Business items, 5A, the Baltimore Steps Rehab Historic Consultant quote. Let's hear it.
So this is just kind of a heads up item. I know at the last meeting, we discussed the revision of some of the prices because of the report and the work that Mr. Cunningham had done. So the consultant took a look at that and said that they thought it would be very useful to them. So they reduced the quote, I think it was $900, so it's $3,800 now. So we are ready to do moving on this. So
Great.
then we would return at a later meeting with the actual report and the findings for you.
May I put a request that when they actually go to the site and they're looking at it, could we have notification that they're gonna be there? Because I'd like to sort of be there and see what they say, and I think the women that spoke here would like to be, they'd be interested to hear.
Yeah, I can let you know. The only thing we'd have to watch out for is you can't have a quorum of the board there, otherwise it's technically a
That's a
meeting.
meeting.
So two of you could likely go.
Okay.
But
Well, we could probably work that out.
Yeah, we could work it out.
So 2 is not a meeting.
yes, it's 50% plus 1 is a meeting. So as long as you're under that.
Okay. Well, great. Well, then you'll just let all of us know, and then we'll work it out so that no more 2 of us are there when Garibaldi is doing their site visit.
Yeah.
All right,
I had one question about that. When we say site visit, are they gonna look broadly at the path that is adjacent to it, or?
Well, they're just preparing a report on the actual historic resource, which would just be the stairs. I mean, I think they will likely take some photos of the context that it's in of the
Okay.
path, but it's not going to involve, walking the path for
No,
great
it's just,
stretches.
it's part of a bigger picture there, but they'll get that.
Well, they'll look at the stairs. I couldn't speak to how.
Well,
much
there's
of the-
pillars too.
Yeah, all of that I
Yeah, all
think is
of it.
included in yes, yes, all of the old
I mean,
stairway. I mean,
I'm talking
the
within
permits.
20 feet.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, well, thank you for getting that going.
yeah, thank you, Alex. It's exciting.
Mhm.
It's just the beginning. I think that whole area is going to, once we start working on one part of it, I'm sure that there'll be more and more interest and people get excited about.
Well, and that's Park and Recreation is the one that
Right.
we're trying to make it more park-like.
Right, but I think the ladies that were here are very much movers and shakers in the community, so they will help with fundraising or the work that will be done there, so.
Good.
All right, so, business item 5B, Assembly Bill 609 discussion. Can you tell us what you heard? from the
Yes,
city?
so just for everyone's context, this was something that Hillary had reached out about and asking for about kind of some more information. And we're still digesting it, and as I'm sure everyone's aware, the state puts out quite a lot of new bills every year, and it's kind of hard to keep up with that. But this one, just based on our reading of it, what this would do is let me back up a little bit. California Environmental Quality Act is it's a review that's required for every project here, and a part of the California Environmental Quality Act is categorical exemptions. And that's where that act has identified certain types of projects that they say no further environmental review is needed. And so that's, small home additions, new residences, things like that are fairly standard construction. So it looks like what this AB 609 is attempting to do is to add another categorical exemption, which would say there's no environmental review for housing projects has to be, I think, a certain number of units. I didn't read anything about the affordability or anything like that. So it would exempt some things from environmental review. Now, one of the other components of CEQA is that there are exceptions to the exemptions that are listed there. And one of the exceptions is for if there's a historic resource impact. So it should not, at least like in the downtown things, it shouldn't really cause an issue in terms of, great impacts to historic resources. But if somebody were looking to just build a new, apartment complex somewhere in town, it would be a way to kind of speed up the process in general and remove any sort of environmental review.
So you said, getting back to, you said there is an exception to the exemption, and the exception would be, so in other words, even if this bill passed, there would still be required to have historic compliance.
So my understanding right now is so there's a number of exceptions to the exemptions, and it's things like if it's a historic resource or if there's a special wildlife habitat in the area, things like that. So it creates a pathway for certain types of projects to have a streamlined approval process. But as soon as you trigger one of these exceptions to that exemption, you have to answer that question first.
Okay, so we are considered an exception.
Yes, there's one for historic resources.
Okay, good, thank you. That was my concern. Because we're always quoting CEQA.
Right.
You know, that's the teeth behind what we do. And if they're trying to create infill in these communities and bypass some of the CEQA regulations.
Yep.
I just was worried that the historic part was going to be overlooked, yeah.
Well,
So,
I'm glad you're on top of it. Pay attention.
well, thank you, thanks, Alex.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing it to our attention.
So the last business item, oh no, there's a couple more. The 4th of July parade discussion, I just wanted to bring this up. Last year, we had a float, the Heritage Board did. It was super fun. I drove and I recruited my whole family and it was really hot. But this year we're gonna be out of town, 4th of July. And I just got the Chamber of Commerce parade application in the mail. Since we did it last year, they automatically send it to me. So I just wanted to check in if anybody else feels like driving the 4th of July.
I was away last year, so I
Me
don't
too.
have a visual of, I heard it went well, but I
Yeah.
don't really know how it went.
Yeah, well, I have the side car banners. Dick Cunningham has one. I have a couple that I have printed. We've got brochures. We still have stickers. And I had tons of Mardi Gras beads left over from Mardi Gras with families. So I had big baskets of beads that we were giving away. And it was actually really fun. It was just nice to be represented and you see the whole parade route instead of just seeing it from one place. So, I mean, we don't have to respond yet. I just wanted to put it out there if anybody, or if you know anybody who would like to represent the Heritage Board.
And what kind of car do you need? That would be,
I don't think it needs to be anything fancy. I had a 67 Mustang convertible.
well, that's pretty yours.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah. But you know what? I bet Dennis Gilardi might be able to put his hands on something for you.
Oh, that's an idea.
Yeah. So let's think about that. You know, ask around. It's really a fun thing to do. I'll tell you, Joe, you know, we've lived in Larkspur for almost 40 years now. And my husband said that was the best parade experience ever. Even though it was 95 degrees and I was so worried about the car overheating, you know, but it was hands down the best. So Alex, do you want?
Oh,
So think about it. We can ask Rich
All right.
and if anybody,
I'm open to it if I'm here. I wasn't here the last 2 years, so.
I'll have to check my calendar.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I haven't looked that far ahead, to tell you the truth.
Yeah. Business item D, approval of the February 27th meeting minutes. The only thing I caught was,
To
2025.
Now, where did you, oh, you mean
the top,
Yeah.
the top.
Yeah,
I wasn't at the meeting, so I can't
Mm.
say if it's accurate enough.
Yeah, no, I thought they were good.
it seems that I didn't see, nothing jumped out at me as erroneous.
Okay, so, all in favor to approve the meeting notes?
I'll approve.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. And lastly, board member reports.
Nothing to report.
And we have,
Well, Alex is the one who really could report on the plaques, the status you already have, the historic plaques. We're actually getting to the stage where the money is getting to them. And they're all ready to go to be shipped. And I think I talked with Julian about how to deliver them down here. We're not gonna go pick them up.
Yeah. The plan, it's going to works. probably.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah, I think they're getting dropped off at the corporation yard and they had to kind of, they asked if they had a forklift truck, some other piece of equipment to pick them up off the truck that they're delivering. So there was a bit of coordination that happened.
yeah. Okay. Good.
Is there an ETA for installation or how long it's going to take?
I'm not sure when they're gonna get delivered, but I can ask Julian about, the timeline on his end if he's got it.
Because maybe we'd like to do another walkover to see where they're going to
That's a
be.
good idea.
Because we did, like, several years ago, walk with him. And, you know, it matters what's underground, like what pipes and lines and all that. And who knows, maybe that's changed a bit, but I think it would be worthwhile for a couple of us at least to walk.
Yeah.
Just to ascertain where they're gonna actually be and how they're gonna face, like the one for the downtown railroad station.
Mhm.
There wasn't a good place right next to where the station is. But up by the bus stop, you could look over the area.
And more
So that
people
was
would see it.
one
Right, more people.
thought, yeah. So I think before they actually start digging, we need to.
Story polls.
Well, that would work too, I guess, a little something. If you could ask
Yeah, I can
Julian
ask
if we
him too.
could,
That's a good
when he
idea.
really, well, especially when he sees them,
Yeah,
you know, after they're delivered, because then he'll see what they
The
really.
size
and the height and all of that.
Yeah. And they have to be in a handicap accessible,
They have to be low enough that a chair can pull up and.
Right. right?
Or maybe the angle of the thing too.
Yeah,
Or is that fixed?
he'll know that kind of stuff, I figure. He's,
Mm-hmm.
you know, knows how to comply with this.
Yeah, so when they arrive, so they're already affixed to the post, I'm assuming? They'll just come, or
I
is
think the post is separate. you know,
Okay.
But I'm not sure,
we'll have
I
that,
would think so. Normally they would be separate.
okay,
because the post has to get cemented in somewhere, so,
okay. Okay, that's exciting.
yes.
The last leg
It'll
of the
happen,
journey.
yeah. And meanwhile, Maryland River is working on another set of.
Great.
I don't know
Hopefully
why
Rich is gonna
five
make
is
progress with the
the Miwok
Miwok.
question, yes,
Yeah.
well, it's kind of in my ballpark, I need to call. the Gentleman he said, you're going to talk to. And I'll do that.
Okay, I think that's it for the agenda items. I propose that we close our meeting. Is that purple?
Yeah, get them all in favor.
Everyone in favor?
Aye,
It's unanimous.
The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
well, this was really nice.